Welcome to the world of W.E.Kiwi, where friends come in all sizes, shapes and species. And now a new story. Under a vine, with a hairy-nosed Burp and Slurp. W.E.Kiwi couldn't eat one more mouthful. He had made wonderful sandwiches with cheese and lettuce, but one too many. The buttons of his shirt squeezed against his belly. He was full from the top of his head to the tip of his toes. Wrapping up his extra sandwich, he put it in the fridge. Sipping on a large glass of water helped him as he relaxed on the couch. He turned on the television to see if the game had started. He was early, so he listened to both teams being read out. Oh, big Archie the Eagle was playing. He was his favourite football player. He always ran onto the field with his arms out like he was flying. Though W.E. was a Kiwi bird and couldn't fly, he did imagine what it would be like. With his little wings outstretched, he lay pretending to soar through the clouds. Higher and higher he would go till he could see the whole world. His friends would appear as ants on the ground, and buildings nothing but shoeboxes. He sighed and rubbed his belly. His lunch had made him terribly tired, maybe a quick nap before kick-off. He kept his wings out pretending to fly as he dozed off with the game starting on the television. He was flying now in the clouds, but seeing the world below him. The sun was high, and the sky was a beautiful shade of blue. Swooping through the clouds he flew. The buildings had disappeared, and now he saw fields of corn and wheat in the distance. The fields lifted up to a hillside. As he flew closer, vines grew up and rose from the flat to the top. He swooped in, closer and closer, and landed between two rows. Taking a bunch of grapes from the vine, he picked them off one by one. They were soft and wet. That's strange. I didn't know grapes burped, W.E. giggled. The skin of the grapes fell to the ground as W.E. took another in his mouth. Oh dear, maybe it was him that was burping. The sandwich from lunch may have caused gas in his stomach. He ate another grape, and nothing happened. So he ate one more. What wonderful grapes if they burp every time you eat them. What about if I take a whole bunch in my mouth? With great care, W.E. put a bunch of grapes in his mouth, and then flip. Wow, not just a burp, but also a slurp. Well, what better way to enjoy your food? W.E. jumped back. Who was there? Sorry if I scared you. Not everyone appreciates the burp and slurp. Walking forward, W.E. could see two hairy brown feet protruding from the base of the grapevine. They appeared like bear paws, yet with 6 toes on each foot. Hello there. How about we share some grapes together? I'm always happy to make new friends, even if they burp and slurp. The voice replied. Yes, why not? W.E. yelled out. A pair of the feet went from under the grapevine. W.E. waited, but no one appeared. He took another bunch of grapes from the vine, as this might help to bring the creature out. He ate 1 grape. Nothing. Then 2, 3, 4, and still silence. Oh, maybe he should be slurping. He was about to take a whole bunch in his mouth when a handkerchief came over his shoulder. You might need one of these, friend. They're red grapes, and they could stain your wonderful shirt. Why, thank you. From the side of W.E. came his new friend. She was covered in light brown fur and stood just as tall as W.E. She had 2 strong, muscular legs. A thin waist grew outwards to shoulders, which were also strong and powerful. 2 arms had 6 fingers each, with white pads on her palm. Her head was spectacular, as it had 2 large blue eyes, which were even bigger due to her thick red-rimmed glasses. What made her even more magnificent was a long purple tongue that came out of her mouth. If that wasn't enough, from the centre of her face was a long round nose with glittering yellow hair growing out of each nostril. Now I see you enjoy grapes from the vine, but how about we continue our journey? W.E. didn't know where he might be going, but thought he should introduce himself first. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. I'm W.E.Kiwi, but my friends just call me W.E. Well, hello there, W.E. I should have introduced myself too. I'm Beautiful Bertha, or BB to my friends. I am the hairy-nosed Burp and Slurp of Invervie. That's great, as I've never met a hairy-nosed Burp and Slurp. BB, you are the first. And not the last. So where are we going, BB? W.E. questioned as they marched forward up the hill. Well, you can just follow your nose. Can you smell it? W.E. lifted up his beak to sniff the air. As they slowly went up the hill, wonderful smells grew stronger and stronger. It was like fresh bread, with chocolate, and oranges and strawberries. There were so many smells, W.E. was struggling to work any of them out. It was not only the smells that he found enchanting, but the sound of laughter and music. BB and W.E. walked over a small mound of grass, and in front of them stretched a long table with seats on both sides. At the table were more Burp and Slurps. All had the same features, but with different coloured glasses. W.E. decided this must be how Burp and Slurp can tell each other apart. When he looked closer, he saw the boy Burp and Slurps had black nose hair and the girls yellow. The older Burp and Slurp had grey wisps of hair on top of their heads. They sat at the top of the table. Each young Burp and Slurp would tend to the elders, making sure they had plenty of food in front of them. BB pulled out a seat and offered it for W.E. to sit. Well, I'm so glad you're here, W.E., as the luncheon's about to start. W.E. sat and watched. Each Burp and Slurp looked up at him and raised a glass to say hello, then drank in turn. When it reached the top of the table, the oldest Burp and Slurp stood. He began to hum. Each Burp and Slurp took the hands of the Burp and Slurp next to them, and that formed a circle around the table. W.E. took one hand of BB and the other hand of a Burp and Slurp next to him. Then there was a hushed silence. W.E. didn't know what to do. He sat in silence waiting for the next sign. Then all the Burp and Slurp bowed their heads. The old wise Burp and Slurp started to hum again. It was a beautiful song, but with no words. W.E. sat and listened. As the song finished, the Burp and Slurp raised their glasses and opened their eyes. They all turned to W.E. and stared. W.E. was getting uncomfortable as he didn't know what to do. BB leant over and whispered in his ear, We're waiting for you to raise your glass and say it's time to eat, drink and be merry. Today is a great day. W.E. took the glass in front of him, which was full of grape juice. He raised the glass, but BB tapped on his shoulder. It's best, as a guest, to be standing. As W.E. rose to his feet, he could see all the Burp and Slurp smiles grow wider. His confidence grew as he proudly stated to the group, Eat, drink, and be merry. Today is a good day. With haste, all the Burp and Slurp stood up and raised their glass and drank. Then, what happened next took W.E. by surprise. It was complete chaos. The Burp and Slurp ate and drank as fast as they could, all the time talking and laughing away. They were having so much fun, W.E. didn't want to interrupt. BB leant over with her mouth full of grapes, muffins and lemonade. Don't be shy, W.E. Eating together must be fun and full of laughter. Why, thank you, BB. The Burp and Slurp certainly know how to have fun together. W.E. joined in and ate and drank with great joy and gusto. As the food was devoured, he could see the old wise Burp and Slurp at the end of the table smiling at him. He nodded and raised his glass. He was saying something. He looked closely as the old Burp and Slurp repeated, To my new friend, a table where you are always welcome. W was very touched that now he had new friends which he could eat and drink with. But most of all, he could have a load of fun. As he ate, his kiwi belly grew bigger and bigger. It had truly been a day of eating and drinking. BB tapped on his shoulder. Shall we walk amongst the vines to let the food settle in our bellies? Yes, that would be a good idea, BB. Both got up from the table. W.E. turned and waved to the Burp and Slurps. They all waved goodbye. As BB and W.E. walked down the hill through the grapevines, the breeze faded away and the air grew hot. W.E. felt the top of his head. I should be wearing a hat, BB. It's getting very hot. Well, let's find a tree to sit under. The vines don't give us much shade. Down the hill they went, till an ancient olive tree stood in front of them. There they sat, with their backs leaning against the trunk. BB rubbed her belly and stroked her nose hairs. W.E. tried to rub his belly and stroke his beak, but was too uncoordinated to do so. It takes practice, BB explained. It took me a few years to get the rubbing of my belly and stroking of my nostril hair correctly. Then I must practice too. That was a lovely meal, but you always eat together, BB? Of course. The best way to eat a meal is together. The ancient Burp and Slurp taught us how to eat with great gusto, joy and delight. However, the most important lesson was togetherness. Enjoy the company of others, and what better place to do this but around the table? But I've never burped and slurped at dinner, BB. That's okay, W.E. That's just the way we do it. You don't have to do it too, but after rubbing your belly, it does help. Then BB stood up and grinned. She let out the biggest burp W.E. had ever heard. W.E. rolled over and got to his feet. He rubbed his belly, and the smallest burp came out. Burp. What's the thought that counts, W.E.? The sun was getting lower in the sky, so they both came out from under the tree and walked beside the vines. W.E. looked at the birds flying between the vines and the clouds in the sky. It's so peaceful. The word I learned from my friend Louisa is serene. This place is serene, BB. He turned, but she had gone. He called out, BB, are you there? BB! He was met with nothing. The sunset on the horizon bounced orange and red colours through the clouds. W.E. lay down again and watched the clouds float. What if he could fly between them? He put his little wings out and it felt like floating. Up and down through the clouds, pushing them away with the end of his beak. There was silence, then came a grumbling. It wasn't as loud as thunder, but close by. It wasn't coming from the clouds, but his belly. It was getting louder and louder, so much so it woke him up. Opening his eyes, he saw the ceiling and the curtains blowing in the wind. His belly was grumbling after his big lunch. He looked at the television. The game had finished, but they'd won 4-1. Now he'd better get up and walk around to let his lunch go down. Maybe a walk in the park would help. At the park, sitting on a bench, was his best buddy, Freddy the Funky Fitness Lion. He was having a picnic by himself. Freddy's eyes lit up seeing W.E. come towards him. Well, hey there, little feathered friend. Hey, Freddy, are you eating alone? Yes, I'm afraid so. I called Terry, Jerry, and Mary, but they're all out sailing. Well, you shouldn't eat alone, Freddy. W.E. sat down on the bench. Freddy offered him a salad. I had a massive lunch today, Freddy, so I don't think I can eat any more. Oh, but wait! Off in the distance, Slow Shirley was walking past with Louisa. Before Freddy knew it, Louisa, W.E. and Shirley all sat on the picnic bench having a salad, and some chips on the side. Freddy took a large gulp of lemonade. He drank it slightly too quickly, then it hit him. Oh, I'm terribly sorry about that. Shirley and Louisa giggled, while W.E. stood up and raised his wings. To my friends, it's always better to share a meal and have a good time. Talk about your day and how we can help each other out. In the end, what's a burp? Maybe a slurp between friends. The end. Stay tuned for more adventures with W.E.Kiwi. Right then, Quark, well done. Yes, there's been a slight misunderstanding. But the long form story, what's happened to that? Yes, well, I was getting it ready, but unfortunately, I lost all the scripts. What? But that's okay, I'll find them, and then we'll get going with the intergalactic battles to save the world. Really? But I'm ready with some more short stories. Oh well, we'll keep going. Yes. We'll get going with the short stories, and then we'll try and work everything out. Okay, then. Oh, there's always the stories of perspective as well. I hear those ones, but I'm not involved with those. I try and stay out of those. Sure. Right, onward and upward. That's correct. Upward and onward. How's it go? Onward and upward. Yes, onward and upward. Thanks, John.